Guys, welcome to episode 117 of the Business Bites podcast. And this episode is one that you guys needed before, you need now during the COVID crisis, and you're also going to need it later. My goal with this episode is to make sure that you have got your stuff in order, and so use it as a checklist to evaluate what you already have or is a plan of action going forward so that you can make sure that anytime a disaster or something hits in your business that you're ready to go. We're going to walk through the important things that you need to have in a disaster preparedness kit. And disaster could be anything. It could include sickness. It can include a pandemic. It can include a natural disaster. But I'm going to walk you through the items that you need to have in your kit. And this ranges from a compilation of your passwords and logins, bank account information, power of attorneys, letters, and statements to put out to your audience slash customers slash clients. So let's go ahead and dig right in and make sure that we are set up so that we don't have these issues in the future.
Welcome to the Business Bites podcast, the podcast for busy entrepreneurs. Whether you're an online entrepreneur or seeking after brick and mortar success, this podcast brings you quick bites of content so you can learn and grow anywhere you are. Now here's your host, Rachel Brainke.
Stories can make a difference not only in your life, but in your business. Your story might be like mine, a survivor, fighter, and entrepreneur that builds businesses while raising 5 kids, getting a law degree, and passing the bar at the same time. Maybe your story's a little different, but you know what? Your business should tell your story so you can connect with your community on a more personal level. As you guys have seen through my social media and with my podcast, headshot and brand photography can set you apart from your competition and make you a superstar. A thoughtfully crafted professional photography session can help you achieve this distinctive goal. My friend, Scott Wyden Kiewicz, is a headshot and brand photographer out of New Jersey, and he's ready to help you guys take your brand to the next level. I highly encourage you guys to reach out to Scott and start a conversation with him. Scott is sponsoring this episode so that you can get this information into your hands. Reach out to him, mention this podcast, and save $100 off your first headshot or brand photography session. Guess what? No worries if you're not in New Jersey. He can travel to you as well. You can visit him at scottwyden.com/brands. That's SCOTTWYDEN.com/brands.
All right, guys, let's dig into this checklist so that you can get your kit created to be prepared whenever an issue comes up in the future, whether it is death, sickness, divorce, disaster, all the big D's, right? So we are going to walk through these steps, but understand, I also have all this listed in checklist format for you at rachelbrainke.com/EPI 117. Understand, I said this on multiple episodes recently, I am filming this / recording because you guys can't see me. I am recording this during the COVID-19 coronavirus crisis. So understand that when I make a couple of recommendations, you might have limitations right now because of everything that's going on, but it can still be applicable to your business. So let's just dig right in. The very first thing you need to have compiled all in one place so that you're not having to rush around or someone else try to dig through your stuff in order to find it is all of your costs and your bills in your business. You guys should already have this anyways. I am going to link on the show notes page some of the budget episodes where I talk about cutting costs and identifying your cost of doing business. And while you're getting all your costs and everything in order, you're also going to include your passwords, your logins, and how those bills are paid. My recommendation, which FYI, we're going to have a whole kit of this at rachelbrainke.com, but my recommendation for you guys would be to stick this into digital format as well as have it printed off and given to whoever you're wanting to be responsible should an issue happen. Again, the first step is going to be compiling all your costs of doing business. This would be all your bills, making sure it stays updated, the cost, when they're paid, how they're paid, all passwords and logins. You also want to include with it all password and logins for website, hosting, domain, your social media accounts as well. I do know that on places like Facebook, it allows you to identify someone so if something happens to you, they can access. But we don't necessarily want to rely on any sort of backup like that. We also don't want to rely on what's going to be one of our further points of a power of attorney. Yet, we want to make it as low hanging fruit and easy for things to be managed by whoever it is that you're going to designate to take care of your stuff, whether on a temporary basis, should an issue happen to you, or long term, if you end up becoming terminally ill and or deceased. So passwords, logins, all bills, costs, how they're paid. The next thing is your bank account, and this also includes your credit card and line of credit access. You need the numbers, the amounts, and the access information to get into these accounts. Understand that depending on your business structure, you may have a partner that can wrap it up for you. They're already probably going to be on the bank account. Or if like they're on your LLC with you, they're already going to be privy to that LLC's bank account information. But if you have an entity or have not set up an entity, which FYI, need to become an LLC or a corporation, don't rely upon leaving yourself open for liability. We'll be linking it on show notes page as well. But you want to make sure that you're going to identify the bank accounts in numbers and access. The third thing on our list, which also goes along with the access that I'm talking about, is we need to have a power of attorney. This is a legal document giving somebody the power of attorney for management and or wrap up of your business. I just mentioned an alternative to this is that you can include this person on business entity paperwork, such as your formation, operating agreements, etc. However, let's say you have a business entity, you're like a sole proprietor or you're a single member LLC and you don't have anyone else, you need to have a power of attorney that allows them to either manage your business temporarily or wrap it up for you. I understand right now during the crisis, you may not necessarily be able to get a power of attorney notarized or anything, which FYI, we are going to put a template of this at rachelbranke.com. It'll be linked on the show notes page as well. But I do know some UPS stores and places like that are still offering notary services. Just make sure that you are respectful to social distancing and any government directives. So we've gone through a compilation of cost, passwords, logins to the bank account numbers and access, including credit cards, lines of credit, etc. The third is the power of attorney. And let's add on to that, you writing out your wishes to your and/or handbooks and guidances to the person that you're designating to be the power of attorney. What you want them to do in case of death, what you want them to do in case of short-term sickness, long-term sickness, etc. And because then they're going to know what to do with step number 4. And this is a drafted letter and or statement to send out to your clients, or a statement for your website, social media, for your customers to know what is happening and what's going on if you're going to put anything out there. If you're in a services-based industry that relies upon you to be providing the services, you need to have this contingency plan in place with the directions to the person that you've identified as your power of attorney, and also give them the guidance that they can use. If you are in a situation where you're extremely sick or you're in a horrible car crash and you've designated a partner or a close friend or family member, someone you trust, obviously, they're going to be so distraught, worried about you. Make it easier on them. Tell them exactly what you want through a contingency plan, and also have a drafted letter and statements for them to be able to just copy and paste and utilize. Obviously, with that, we need to have a listing, and this can also be included up at the top where we talked a little bit about passwords and logins, but I wanted to make this a little separate because oftentimes people will forget to include access to contracts and customer or audience lists. Like, it's pretty easy for you to tell someone, log on to my Instagram and post this statement. But if you're in a service-based industry or you're needing to reach out to very specific clients, you may not have a CRM, should have a CRM, client management system. If you do not have a standard running list of your clients, you need to have one and you need to keep it available. This is also a great time, y'all, when you're creating this kit to get your workflows in place, to identify all the tasks that are being done, all the action items that need to be done in your business, especially if it's time sensitive for clients or customers, and you can keep a running list. If you're an online e-commerce site, tell them exactly where to go. Make a video and or write out how they can identify which orders are pending? How can they see the customer information, how you ship it, etc. So make sure that you have all the access to customer and client information available for the person that you have identified. So this is not a be all and end all. And this is not going into talking about wills. This is a quick, easy kit that you guys can outline. And the thing is, if you've listened to this and you're still listening, but you're thinking, oh, I'm going to just click this off because it's all common sense, I'm willing to bet that the majority of you listening have not done this. I also have identified, even if I sit here been telling you about this, a couple of things that I need to update and improve upon. So here's my tips. That this is not just a one-time thing you need to do. Stick it into like a quarterly reevaluation or maybe at the first of the month. You guys know I'm huge on scheduling like that. I have first of the month tasks. I also have first of the quarter task. You need to add this disaster kit, or what you can call as like an oh shit kit, because oh shit, stuff's going down. This is what you can point to, update, and stick into your routine administrative procedures. All right. And I've talked about this previously. I've put this into my courses. I've talked about it on Instagram, especially when I've been talking about management of virtual teams. One thing that you can do, because you want to replicate as many benefits out of one action as possible, and I mentioned and I touched on it here, take this time, especially now if you're listening to this during COVID and we're on quarantine, video record, screen record all your steps. Show people exactly how can they get into your e-commerce site, click on WooCommerce, and view how to find customers, right? How to find their mailing information. Have it. You'll be able to then have the videos. So when you're bringing team members on, when you're hiring people, when you're going to sell the business, and especially, obviously, what we're talking about here if something happens. So again, make sure you guys head over to rachelbranke.com/EPI117. This list is not a be all and end all, but this is a good identifier of what you need to have. I am going to be putting this kit with all the templates available for sale and download on rachelbranke.com. I'm going to link it on the show notes page. It's also going to be in the shop. If you guys have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out. And I wish you guys best of luck. And please get this under control, because you never know when something's going to happen. Y'all, I had cancer at age 20 and I was having to email clients from my hospital bed. You don't want to be doing that. You want to be able to focus on you if something happens. You want to make it easy as you can on someone who has to wrap up stuff for you. So make sure you go and do it. And I'll talk to you guys next week.
Thanks for joining Rachel on this episode of the Business Bites. For show notes, a list of recommended tools, or referenced episodes, you can find them at businessbitespodcast.com. Until next time.